Well, I think it's that time too with ahead of the big matchup this weekend against Columbia City and Leo. We're going to go ahead and bring in Columbia City head coach Brett Fox into the mix. Coach, thanks for joining us tonight on Upon Further Review. And first of all, I think congratulations on the season you guys have had this far. And I know it's far from over, and you hope that that's the case. But what a season for this Columbia City Eagles team, flying high once again, heading into the latter half of the season, undefeated in the conference, and another big one Friday night against Leo upcoming.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and it's just been a kind of a whirlwind of a season so far for us, and it's been a fun ride, and just really trying to just mentally, like we just finished our coaches meeting. Preparing for Leo this week before we put our scouting report out and everything like that. And I got some time. I'm in here in our beautiful new school and stuff like that. But I just mentally just to stop and think and just be like, hey, let's enjoy this. Like, what can I do to make sure that I'm enjoying this and that our players are enjoying it, and just really taking it in.
Certainly. This season, you have put together another great team with some names that we really haven't necessarily heard before. Colton Piper has emerged as the quarterback after Greg Bolt graduated. Justice Gorey is a running back that I think more and more people are going to be hearing about. Stratton Fuller, another name at the wide receiver area. Just talk about the development of this team and what you've been able to see so far as this group continues to get better, get more experienced, and really come along together as a group.
Yeah, I think this team has been unique. They've been a great group of guys that are just fun to be around, and they're all over the place. And really, we're sitting there with 22 seniors on our roster too. And so to kind of lean on those guys and to understand that and to know that, Colton's been patient to get his opportunity at quarterback, and Stratton being a sophomore is just such a stud, just a great kid and somebody that's growing up with that. And just, it's just fun to have those guys. But then our defense has been playing so well too. We got a lot of returners on our defense and a lot of guys that were second team all conference last year within the NE8 that are, just playing really well for us. Josh Arntz is playing well for us defensively. Dominic Chacon had one whale of a game the other night against East Noble where he had double-digit tackles. And you got people like Riley Tucker, who's, a 3-year starter at defensive tackle that's just eating up blocks in the middle, and Easton Carnahan that's just, kind of just doing his thing. We're asking him to do some things against some counters and some pullers, and he's doing that and allowing other guys to shine. And part of our success is those guys are okay seeing other people be successful. And so we have to continue that. We have to continue to be thinking team first and kind of put that in perspective and realize that when they start to take certain things away, other things are gonna pop open. And I think that's what you're seeing rushing wise with Justice right now is like, they're concentrating on Ethan Sievers and James Getz for us, and it's allowing us to do some other things with Justice, and Justice has been patient with it, and we just appreciating with what those guys are doing and the patience that they are showing.
Hey, Coach, this past week with East Noble, now 247 yards rushing. I talked about the 181 yards passing, and pretty dominant performance. Your third down conversion rate, which I look at quite a bit to determine maybe how successful an offense is or is not during the year, but you were 53% on third downs. That's a pretty high conversion rate, which tells me you were in third and short to medium most of the night up there in Kendallville.
Yeah, third down is huge. It's one of the first things I check too whenever I get the stats. And honestly, it was a little bit lower than what it had been a couple of weeks before. I think the 1 week against Huntington North, we were 14 of 17 on third downs. And so our line's allowing us to be in situations where we can be, third and short there. And then, it keeps defenses guessing. Like, okay, like if we're going to be in third and short, you're going to go man-to-man against Stratton Fuller. Okay, like I kind of like that, or we're in third and short. Are you going to, try to take away a slant or a quick 3-step drop to him? And it just kind of open up your options when it's that. And we kind of want to be like that, and we haven't been able to do that in the past. And so this year it's been a lot of fun calling third down. But there's not a lot of plays you can call when you're third and 12 or third and 16 trying to pick up the first down. So it's a little bit easier when you have the whole playbook at third and 3.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. I mean that's why teams are successful when they're in the position to have third and medium to short, because of the options that you do have versus what you don't have on third and long. I mean, you might as well go up in the stands and ask what do they want to do, because on third and 12 you're shooting, blindfolded, so to speak. But that's one thing that I've noticed about your group this year is then, the consistency there on third downs. Now you're coming up this week against a Leo team that seems to be finding their stride, so to speak. So talk a little bit about Leo and what have you seen thus far from them that I guess gives you concern heading into this Friday night.
Yeah, I think Jason is doing such a good job at Leo. We're pretty good friends and talk, in the off season and things like that. And, I would have preferred to play them earlier in the year before they get their stuff figured out. But they're super dangerous. And like you guys talked about, right before I came on with them kind of finding their running scheme with that, like their guys are used to some of those things, and they've got multiple weapons. And Jason is just an offensive mind that is just, he's so intelligent that he's going to find different ways and build different ways to get these guys the ball. He just had to learn about his team to find out, like, okay, like what is everybody's strengths? How are they going to face on a Friday night? Because you may look good in a practice, but it's a little bit different when you're getting under those Friday night lights. And so I think he's had the time to kind of learn about his team and what they are good at and where they can exploit teams. And I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, for our defense. And just trying to feel out where they're at, because, it's not just, everybody thinks, Jason was at Northrop throwing the ball. No, if you go back and look, I mean, he was running the ball. I mean, if he got a freaking stud running backs at Northrop too. And so he knows the full game. And I think you're getting to experience that when you're watching their team right now.
Yeah, I think there's, again, their game against Huntington North, and, Huntington North has kind of been a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde this year, because they've shown offensively they can put some points up on the board and rush the football. But at the same time, they're giving up a lot of points too. But they were 6 of 9 for third downs this past week, which is about 67%. And then they had 301 yards on the ground. So, and I think the previous week, if I'm not mistaken, they had maybe 200 plus yards on the ground rushing. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think in your mind right now, looking at them, is there things that you think you got to take away and force them to become one dimensional? What is your thoughts there?
I think, we got to continue to be aggressive defensively. I think if you go to take one thing away, they got weapons at other places. I think that their running game is getting going so much because everyone's like, hey, they're throwing the ball and they're hitting some deep shots. I mean, when you're looking at it, Zeisloff and Shot are getting some big long touchdowns, and they can break anytime they touch the ball, they can break it. And so you have to respect that. And then, it's kind of, Jason's just taking what he's being given right now. And just watching the last 2 games, or, having the opportunity to, watch some of these games on, Summit City Sports or whatever else is advertising it or playing it. You get to see some of these other games, but I mean, they're just playing with a different aggression that they weren't at the beginning of the year. And I think if you load up on one thing and you say, hey, we're going to take this away, they're able to attack you in so many different ways that it makes it hard to prepare defensively for them.
Yeah, here, I got one more question for you, and then I'll turn it back over to our resident MC, Mr. Dukevich. But I want to go back to the New Haven game, because I thought I saw something in that game that was. I want to make sure that I'm phrasing it right, because I haven't ever really seen a team onside kick 3 times and recover it 3 times. Now, is that folklore, or is that a true story? And if it's true, what was your thoughts there?
Well, it's a true story. It's a true story. I will say this: we got extremely worried when we saw them warming up, and their typical guy who was in the middle that we thought we could take advantage of with an onside kick was not dressed. And so you immediately become nervous because you're like, oh, they're going to have somebody else there. But maybe it worked out a little bit better for us. So we definitely planned the first one that we did. The second one was more of, hey, let's just go for it, because you don't want to kick to Mylan Graham. I mean, he can house it at any moment. I mean, that's the whole game plan behind it is like,
Yeah.
okay, like you're going to kick it to him. He's going to return 60% of those for a touchdown. So, if anything, like let's onside kick it and take a shot with our defense on the field and not giving him such open field. And so we said, hey, we got the first one. We feel confident with what we're doing offensively. Let's get the second one. And then the third one wasn't even supposed to be an onside kick. So it was supposed to pop over the top row. And so we didn't use our regular kicker either. So like we used a different kicker and basically, we said to our kicker that week, we're like, hey, like you're really good at getting a height and getting a deep and doing those kind of things. And, so, this other kid is really good at just kind of popping it over the top. So we want to kind of use him. And we might have gone for a fourth one if we didn't have a penalty going in on a touchdown. And then we kicked the ball off from the 50-yard line. We're like, oh, we can put this in the end zone. And then we kick it, and Mylan caught it on the 1-yard line. And I was literally peeing my pants like, oh, crap. Like he's freaking housing this. And somehow our guys got down there. I think they tackled him on like the 8-yard line, which was awesome. Because, like I said, our regular kicker gets great height on it. So kudos to him.
Well, if you want to put the fear of God in an opposing coach, start onside kicking at times when you don't expect it. And the next thing you know, they're probably practicing that every kick session that they can possibly think of, knowing that that's a possibility.
Right. I mean, and now it's on film, and so now it's like, oh, like you have to. It's just like Bob Prescott does the swinging gate for the PAT. And every single year, I'm like, I text Bob. I'm like, Bob, like this is 15 minutes of my freaking practice time. I know you're doing this on purpose, but I am super mad at you right now.
That's great. And Coach, you mentioned just real quickly, Mylan Graham. I know there's Brody Boylan at Norwell. A lot of great individual talent in the NE8 at the schools. You certainly have gotten a lot of kids that have gone on to St. Francis and other schools. You're 9 years now at Columbia City. How have you seen this overall conference just get so much better over time to see where on Friday nights guys are getting some good recognition individually that are big parts of their teams on Friday nights?
It's huge, man. It's huge. I go back even before my 9 years here at Columbia City when I was assistant at Taylor University, and coming and seeing some of these NHC games, then with Homestead and Carroll playing in it and just being like, man, there's a lot of talent up here. Like I remember sitting at a camp watching Jared Murphy, and I'm like, man, like this kid is freaking. We were at Ball State, and we're like, this kid he's freaking good, but like nobody's really talking about him. And then he goes out and they line him up for 40s and he beats every single person there that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this kid, not like, I mean, he's good. So let's offer him a scholarship, kind of thing. And then everybody started doing that, when you're at Taylor, or I bet you coach can say, like when he used to be at, Manchester, and like you're hoping that one of those guys kind of slides by and they don't see it. But, I think what's really opened it up is in our conference, there's been some great postseason victories, for us that, once we're able to shine and we're able to do that, I think people are realizing just how talented our conference is, and every single time that you get a kid like a Jared Murphy or like you get a Chris Hood or you get a Nick Munson that are going on to the next level, like it's helping everybody else get noticed as well. And so you got to kind of see that and go with that. And there's some great talent here. I mean, you look at just what, oh my gosh, the name is slipping my head. Blackwell at Ball State. I mean, he went down there and you're like, man, he's good. And then, I mean, all of a sudden he's like all MAC for like 3 years. And it's like, that dude can play. Like, and you have those kind of things at each team. And I think there's getting a lot more exposure and things like that. And you're seeing that not just, with one or two schools. Instead, they're saying, hey, like the top kids at these different schools, like they can play. They can play and they want to play. And, I even have he's going to be a 3-year starter, or he is a 3-year starter at Taylor University right now that, is an all-conference guy, and Liam Hesting, that's an offensive lineman. And I tell him, like, if you can be all-conference in the Mid-States Football League, that St. Francis plays in and that Marion plays in and Taylor plays in and Indiana Wesleyan plays in and Concordia, a lot of Fort Wayne kids going to Concordia or Siena Heights. If you can be an all-conference person in that league, I mean, to me, you're a D1 player. But and that talent is abundant within our conference, and it's just fun to watch different teams have it at different times.
Hey, Coach, we're going to let you go and get back to doing what you need to get done here on Sunday night. But right now, the 1380 team is really kind of searching around for some games this week. Now, there's one request that we have to have if it comes to Columbia City, and that is a guarantee that we can get front row. I mean, I work with Brett Rump. He cannot see from the second row. So any poll that you may have, if Rump calls the AD this week about bringing us to the hometown team, of course, I live 10 minutes from the high school. So right. It'd be an easier drive for me. I mean, I'm a part of the Whitley County community, for Christ's sake. You think I'd have a little poll? High school? Yeah, do you think I'd have a little poll in the town of Columbia City with the taxes that I pay out here? But we're not sure what we're doing this week. But I know that you will take care of us in the event that happens, because we bring the whole crew and give 7 hours of coverage. And I would love to come to Columbia City once again. But hey, good luck Friday night, and to you and your coaches and your team. And so, thus far, great season. But I know it's a one-of-the-time theme, and we'll catch you at a later date.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. This is awesome. I love that you guys are doing this, and feel honored that you guys are asking me to be a part of it, and just excited. Tell Jason I said hey, and he's a great guy, and I know you guys are gonna get some good football talk out of him too. So hopefully we get to see you on Friday. I make no guarantees. I mean, that is kind of my boss. I got to kind of listen to what he's telling me to do. But thank you guys.
You're undefeated in the conference, man. You should have a lot of pull.
Well, he'll tell me I should be undefeated overall, but I blew it.
All right, Coach. Good luck to you, my man. We'll see you.
Thank you.